I've often seen the hardware and software guys fight with each other in terms of, usually there's a lot of trade-offs. You can put more capability in the hardware to save a little time for the software, or vice versa. Since both Burl and I were inspired by the amazing Apple II, where, sort of one person did both the hardware and the software, and we're such a fan of the Apple II, I didn't mind if it would save a buck on the board. The software would stand on its head to make the computer cheap, and so it's affordable to all the people out there. And we do some pretty crazy things to sort of achieve low-cost hardware. And in our case, the software doesn't mind because we had a common goal. Rather than, trying to further our careers or anything, we were just trying to make something incredibly great. And I think we did.
Hello, and welcome to CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Eric von Elijah. Join me today. He's the managing editor of Cult Mac, and he's got one heck of a smooth and silky goatee. Lewis Wallace is here.
Hey, yeah, super smooth and silky. That's right.
So's your voice, too. They work well together. Also with us, he's the founder of Cult Mac and the arch nemesis to those dirty scumbags over at 9to5Mac. Leander Caney is here.
Are you allowed to say that?
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It's for comedic effect.
So mean.
I mean, we love those guys at 9to5. But you gotta have some competitive spirit. You pit companies against each other, and it gives people something to root for. It's because next time they run into those guys at 9to5Mac, they'll just be like, "Look at those scumbags." they're not nearly as good as those guys at Cult Mac, and it's like, well. They're not scumbags, but that is true. That is true. Well, looky here, guys. We have there's so much stuff that I had to cut out of this week's show because we simply just don't have time to cover all of it. That's how many stories that we have, which is weird. And it's kind of a slow time for Apple news, but still there's all sorts of stuff to cover, and we have some new hardware to talk about, which is great. We talked about new hardware last week because according to some recent reports, Apple's about to dump all sorts of hardware on us. And if you haven't listened to that show, go back and check it out. I know that you guys liked it because I looked at the download numbers and I was like, whoa, people like to hear about new hardware. So let's pray to the old gods and the new that Apple keeps giving us some stuff to talk about here in the next 2 to 3 months because that makes the show fun. But in the meantime, we have some great stories here. Before we dive in, let me give a very hearty thank you to Squarespace for supporting this episode. Squarespace.com/CultCast. You've heard me say it 1,000 times. Make it 1,001. And you know what? They just keep getting better. If you need a website for your business, if you need a website for some special event that you're having, Squarespace is where you need to go. They make it so fast and easy to get a beautiful website up quickly. But check this out. They're always adding new features, and they just added a big one. They just added the ability to do scheduling on your website. So they call it Squarespace Scheduling. You can easily manage your appointments directly within the platform, providing one central location to handle scheduling for every aspect of your brand. You can set hours for the services you offer, share your appointments and classes, and allow clients to book their own appointments. Maybe you're doing like online classes or something. The nature of the work is changing, and it's essential to provide customers with the tools they need to transact beyond selling physical goods. That's something that a lot of people still don't know is you can sell products and services of all kinds with your Squarespace website. And now they make it easy for people to book appointments with you, maybe photo shoots, maybe you're a hairstylist or something, a makeup artist, and now people can book your time directly on the website. And they are constantly adding features like this. I mean, there's a whole other section they've filled out with all these great new features that we can't talk about today, but they're constantly improving Squarespace. So if you need a website, check them out, squarespace.com/CultCast, squarespace.com/CultCast, and use the code CultCast at checkout for 10% off your first purchase. Okay, diving right in. So here's what we're going to do this week. I should have mentioned this, actually, instead of just telling you how much great stuff we're going to talk about. This is our iOS 13.4 beta-a-thon. So a new beta just came out. You guys probably heard about it. And there's all sorts of great tidbits that are sprinkled in here. New software features, yes, but also there is code, as there always is, because Apple must be doing this intentionally now, linking stuff via their betas, because this happens literally every beta. So there's stuff in here that hints to new hardware. Lewis, did you dive into this Apple TV story that I have here at the top?
Yes,
I
sir.
forgot to ask you that. Fantastic, because I was hoping that you could just take us away and I could kick back. I'm not going to fall asleep, but I might just rest my eyes. Well, I'm going to be focused on what you're saying,
Sure,
but
sure, I get it.
when I'm really focused, sometimes I do this. That just means I'm
That
concentrating.
is the sound of being mesmerized.
That's the sound of focus.
Yeah.
No, I actually am interested in new Apple TV, so take it away.
Yeah, so an updated Apple TV 4K could soon roll out of Apple's product pipeline based on references to an unreleased product discovered in the latest iOS beta. Those dirty scumbags over at 9 to 5 Mac.
It just has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? I mean, they are the nicest guys, but when you just say those dirty scumbags, it's just
This is how you start
I know,
something.
it's totally unfair. They are the nicest guys. Zach is super nice. Chance is super nice.
They all are. They all are, for sure. I would have any of those guys over for dinner any night of the week, except for Wednesdays. Please continue.
Okay. So anyway, they're digging around the beta, and they find clues that signal that this new Apple TV might be in development. It's been a long time. Like, they haven't released new Apple TV hardware since 2017, so, the long wait may be over soon. They found a couple of code names. I'm not going to bore you with those, but
Thank you.
references to these devices that have not been seen before. Anyway, if we do get this, it might come with a I think, what was it, like a A13X Fusion chip or something. That's the that's the guessing. I can't really. That part is not in the notes, but I think that's what it was. Anyway,
Okay.
One of the latest. More powerful chips, and if they do that, that could give the Apple TV the kind of boost it needs to make Apple Arcade, better for serious gaming. Apple launched that subscription gaming service, as you probably know, last fall. Keeps adding new and exclusive titles to it, but it still isn't exactly taking the world by storm.
Yeah.
So anyway, having this new, faster, zippier thing would be great for that. Maybe it's not so necessary for just watching Apple TV shows, but it might be great for the gaming aspect.
That's what I was thinking. It has to be for gaming. If you think about it, the move to the last Apple TV, it was a move to 4K, right? From HD to 4K. Well, what are they going to do? 8K? I mean, people still aren't even watching HD. People are still buying DVDs. It's the year 2020. People are still watching DVDs and watching HD content. And so they're not going to move to anything higher fidelity. It's got to be all about gaming. This is probably going to be some, I hesitate to say supercharged gaming hub, but Apple's clearly making a move into gaming. They've got Apple Arcade, and we know that they're not going to move beyond 4K, so what else could it be? It's got to be gaming.
You could also just make it better, right? I mean, I use the thing every day, right? Sometimes the scrolling is not so smooth. Sometimes things don't, I mean,
How about a new remote?
oh, please let there be a new remote.
That would be nice.
At
But-
least
with
15
with some
buttons
kind of
on it.
like Johnny Ive designed arrow that points up, so you know which direction you're supposed to hold it. You know,
Maybe it would make HomeKit stuff faster too. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits from speed, right? I mean, it's
the
never,
HomeKit stuff I didn't
it's
think
never
about.
worse
Yeah.
when things get faster.
But there's
Faster,
got to be a
right.
marquee, right? Clearly there's going to be a lot of under the hood feature changes, like HomeKit compatibility, because I mean HomeKit control, I should say, because it's a HomeKit hub for a lot of people, even if you don't know that it is. And maybe a better remote, but there's got to be something in the blinking lights. What are they going to do? It's got to be gaming. I mean, literally, what else could it be? Some kind of AR compatibility that we don't know about yet. That's going to work with Apple's new AR glasses. I don't know, maybe, but I mean, practically, or if you think about it pragmatically, it's got to be gaming. Maybe I should say that like 5 more times.
What do you really think the
emphasize
reason
my
would be?
point.
Would it be gaming?
I think it might be gaming, Lewis. I've weighed all the different options, and it's led me down to a path. And at the end of the path, you know what I saw? I said a sign that says, it's going to be about gaming. So that's the conclusion that I've come to.
Okay, good one.
Well, they're-
Very
you know,
mystical.
They're constantly talking about
Where
this
did this
Apple
sign come
Arcade
from?
and all this stuff. So I mean, I've
Yeah.
never played one game on Apple TV. I just don't care to. But I'm sure that all this emphasis they're putting on these exclusive titles, the extra power would definitely help.
Yeah, and it's a trend in the industry. Microsoft is pushing hard with Microsoft or Xbox Game Pass, bringing all these great games under one umbrella. You get access to all of them. It's another it's another move for Apple services, I think, is they sell you the better Apple TV. You have the capability of playing more demanding games. You pay them a subscription for Apple Arcade, maybe. That would be my guess, is the bolster there. What was it they made last quarter on services? Wasn't it like $12 billion or something?
I can't keep track of the gigantic numbers.
You know what's wild is in 2000. So YouTube just had to reveal their revenue for the first time ever, and I think they said in 2018 or 2019 they made $15 billion. All of YouTube, the second biggest search engine on earth. It took them all year to make in revenue what Apple made in 3 months with their services line, right? I mean, that's just how much money Apple's making. So this is just another move to squeeze that services teat that Tim Cook likes to have his little fingers on. He's just milking that services teat, like milking a cat.
What do you think the price will be on this?
Lewis?
Are they going to drop the price finally?
On the Apple TV?
Yeah.
Did you just say drop the price and Apple in the same sentence? I think it's going to be $500. It's going to have chamfered edges, though. It's going to be really beautiful. I don't know. I don't even know how much the new Apple TV is because I bought mine so long ago. What is it, like $169 for an Apple
way up
TV?
there. I mean, that's the one thing that seems so crazy out of line to me, right? I mean, it's just so much more expensive than the competition. And what really extra does it offer? I mean, HomeKit, I suppose. That's nice, having it be a home hub.
HomeKit
That's awesome, actually. But
I mean, you get access to your Apple photo library, your iCloud photo library, which is one of the best features of the Apple TV. So every time mine goes into screensaver mode, it pulls pictures from my photo albums, which is pretty cool.
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a good product. I'm just saying compared to sometimes it seems like they're giving away some of the competitor products, and they work. Roku works well, things like that. So,
I mean, it's kind of slow. Have you used Roku recently?
No,
or ever?
no, I have. Yeah, it was fine.
They're not as refined as an Apple TV is, for sure. I mean, Apple TV is so polished and it's so fast. It really is a great product. I love it. But okay, we're going on going on.
$200 for the high end one right now. $179 for the.
What's the point of getting? Was it 64 gigs
versus 32 gigs? I mean,
for all the apps that you won't be
I've
using.
never stored hardly anything on that thing. So
Me either. Maybe they thought you were going to be loading it up with apps, but there's like 8 apps in the store, so it's basically a ghost town.
I wonder if this thing might be a stick.
Oh,
I don't remember
Apple
mentioning
TV
that in the
stick?
story, but
well, then it will definitely be cheaper if it's a stick.
could be. I mean, that's one of the things that I've heard a lot of people clamoring for.
That would be pretty cool if they had a way less expensive Apple stick, and you could take it with you and use it to beam stuff to your TV.
Watch all
via
your
AirPlay
Apple
or something.
TV Plus content.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe you could download content onto your stick. And
you're
of course,
talking.
but no, it's 2020. You're gonna have an internet connection everywhere except for Lewis's house. So you really don't need that, do you?
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, you could be in the Congo and have internet that's better than Lewis's house in the middle of San Francisco.
Oh my God!
It's because your internet lines are covered in 3 to 4 feet of human feces and drug needles, so it's hard for the signal to get through.
Yeah,
It's not meant for.
It's definitely
it's
a
not meant
challenge.
It's not meant to breach such huge amounts of trash. Okay, look, let's move on. Let's talk about some other great tidbits we got from the beta. This is a good one. This is something I was thinking about recently because I have an app that I use on my iPhone, and I had to buy it for the Mac. And I was just I'll be honest with you guys, I was annoyed. I was like, I already have this app on my iPhone, and why do I have to pay for it again on my Mac? It's literally the exact same thing. It does the exact same thing. So, not to bury the lead that I already did. Apple's universal purchases will change how you buy and use apps. So Apple's laying the groundwork to make it easier for developers to distribute their apps across all of Apple's platforms. Included in Wednesday's big batch of beta updates, Apple introduced a new option in Xcode for developers to build and test apps using a single bundle ID. Starting in March, iPhone users will be able to download an app via the App Store, and then if the developer supports it, they can download it on other Apple platforms at ease. What does that mean? It means you buy it one place, and you get the app all the other places, which would be great, which would be really convenient for users. And the intrepid reporters at Cultamac, look at all this great reporting the hell out of this story. Cultamac reached out to iOS. Do you think they reach out to reporters at 9to5Mac? Get out of my face. They don't even know what a reporter is. Cultamac reached out to Mac OS developer and iOS developer Steve Stratton Smith and asked him what he thought about all this. And he said, as a developer, this is pretty frightening, but as a user, this is something I want, but there are some issues that looks like they're going to need to be ironed out, because he said, and this is a great point actually, is they don't charge the same price for the same app on different platforms. So an iOS app might be $5, but the Mac version, which is more robust, might be $40. So how do they square that, right? You can't spend $5 and get a $40 Mac app, but you don't want to have to spend $40 for an iOS app and then also get the Mac app that you may not want. So I don't know exactly how they're going to work this out. I kind of feel like maybe this is the way it should work. If you buy the iOS app, you get just the iOS app, but if you buy the Mac app, you get both. Doesn't that kind of make more sense? Like if you buy the more expensive version, it's like a bundle, and you get both you get both for the same price. Any thoughts on that from either of you
Doesn't that
gentlemen?
kind of, because that sort of wrecks the whole idea of having a universal purchase, doesn't it? Because, then you've got two apps you've got to support, right? Or two different payment, schemes.
I think so. You're saying it makes it more complicated.
Yeah. Because, I think the whole point is, you buy the app once and it'll run on all these different platforms.
Yeah.
But I think he's chosen like an edge case. Like I don't know how many of these pixel made up, apps exist. The sort of the high end apps. I think for the vast majority of apps, it would work fine, wouldn't it? Like for a lot of games, it would work fine. You could get price parity on iOS and on Mac OS.
For more fringe cases, they could just not support it, and you'd have to buy each app separately, right?
Yeah, they'd have to have two different separate apps.
Yeah, because it does make sense if you're going to be buying a complicated photo editing app that is on Mac and iOS. Well, it's going to be much more powerful on Mac than it is on iOS.
Maybe they could just start changing the whole pricing scheme anyway, because people have been so the whole race to the bottom for pricing for apps on iOS. It's unsustainable anyway, and a lot of developers have been complaining about it. Maybe it's about time. Maybe this would help. Change that sort of that pattern that the developers and consumers have got into. Like expecting everything on iOS to be like $5 or less. Maybe for once people could be sort of like, oh, okay, this is a really complicated app. It's very, very powerful. Maybe I should be paying more for it.
Wait a second. There we go. Good one, Leander.
Well, if you get in the case of that Pixelmator, like if you get it both on, for $49, if you get a really powerful iOS app and you get a really powerful Mac app, I don't know, I'd like to think that people would pay for that, don't you?
Maybe. I just know how hard it is to get $5 from people. Netflix ruined the world in this regard. It's that Netflix comparison, right? I feel like people will be like, well, why would I spend like $20 on an app? Because Netflix is only, and this is back when it used to be like $5 or $6 a month. It's like $5 and they get all this different content. So people are constantly making comparisons like that. Like, why would I give you $40 when I can spend, when it's only $15 a month for HBO, and look at all the content you get on HBO, and all I'm paying you for is one app. Bad analogy. I fully admit that's a terrible analogy. But my point, I think, is a good one, is there's so many services now where you can pay such a small price and get so much that it's hard to get people to give you money for something that only has one use to it, unless you have an app that is hypercritical to your workflow, like Photoshop or Final Cut Pro or something where it's like nothing else is like it,
Well, right,
and it's mission critical,
and those guys
then
have
you might
mostly
be willing
moved
to pay.
to subscription pricing now anyway. So maybe that's what these developers should be doing.
But that just annoys people, doesn't it? I mean, people are so annoyed by having subscriptions for everything. Everyone wants a subscription now. It's like all these different apps have gone to a subscription model, and I get that it makes sense for the developer and they need to make money to survive. I totally understand that, and I want them to make money. But as a consumer, I'm like, I don't want to give you a $3 a month to use your calendar, your calendar app. I don't want to do that. I'm kind of subscriptioned out. Everyone wants to have, $5 a month for something.
Right.
So,
It adds up for sure.
yeah, it adds up. After a while, it adds up, and it's like you kind of start to wonder, well, how many things do I actually want to be paying for?
Well, with your earlier expensive Pornhub subscriptions and
Yeah, and I have the Uber Pro plan. It's like $145 a month.
what's that? Is that where you get to take as many
you don't
rides as
even-
you want?
I can't even begin to describe.
That's right.
the kind
Uber
of
does do
videos.
a subscription plan, don't they?
Do they?
I think they do. Yeah, or Lyft. One of them does. Yeah, Uber or Lyft.
Oh, so you can just like go anywhere you want, anytime you
I can't
want.
remember how it works, but I remember getting pitched on it, and I was like, "Yeah, no way."
I read an article a while back about an airline who had, maybe it wasn't a subscription plan. No, it probably wasn't a subscription plan. It was a lifetime airline ticket, and this guy bought it and then the airline realized that they were going to take a total bath on it. But he's like one of the last people on Earth that still has his, and he still gets to fly all around the world for free, because he bought this like $100,000 airline pass.
Huh.
Like,
I remember hearing about
20
this.
years ago. Did you? Maybe you read the story too. And actually, I just realized it has absolutely nothing to do with anything that we just talked about. But it was
Whatever.
interesting, wasn't it?
That's a shocker.
That's what I'm here for. Color commentary. I would argue that's my prime contribution. Okay, so let's see here. This other feature. Phew, I almost just glazed right over this one.
Whoa.
This was one of the coolest ones in the entire lot of all the features I saw that came to this new iOS beta. So check this out. It's a new feature called Car Key, and it does exactly what you probably imagine it does. Apple reportedly added code to iPhone and Apple Watch to let these devices function as car keys, giving users one less thing to constantly carry around. I think this is the future, honestly, as cars become more and more electrified. I mean, just think about your key fob. You might be able to just leave that at home and just have your phone with you everywhere you go, and that would be your identification to like use your car and stuff. Car Key is something that the company has been working on for many years and has supposedly finally reached the point where it's building the feature into iOS and watchOS. The first mention of Car Key API was buried in the code of iOS 13.4 beta, and it allows. Let me skip to this line. This is more interesting. Many modern cars wirelessly communicate with the key fob, as I just mentioned. Apple will apparently use the NFC capabilities in the phone and watch to do the same thing. This has been on Apple's radar for years, and they actually just had a patent for a similar technology back in 2015. And let's see here, a note in iOS 13.4 says to use Car Key. Oh, so this is the note within the beta. To use Car Key, hold iPhone or Apple Watch to the reader. It will work automatically without requiring Face ID. So you can just have the phone in your pocket.
Doesn't that seem like a bit of a? Is that a good idea?
I know. Steal a car,
Yeah,
steal
why
a phone,
not?
you get a car with it.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, that's actually a good point.
Wouldn't you want Face ID to be?
But that's like saying, well, look, it's as easy to steal your keys as it is to steal your phone. In fact, it's probably easier. Like my key, I mean, probably like your guys' key, it has a sensor in it. So as soon as I get close to my car, I can unlock it. I can press the start engine button and just go. So what's the difference? There's no security built in there. If you have the key, you steal the car.
Yeah, true.
So is that
Right.
so is that any less secure than doing it on your phone?
It just struck me as odd because, I mean, like, they won't let you set it up so that happens with your house, for instance.
Oh, they won't?
Apple refuses to let it automatically unlock. You've got to authenticate.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe they look at a car as like much less of a big deal, but I don't know, man.
I know that some manufacturers, like Land Rover, I saw the other day, they have a band. I can't remember what it's called. It's like the Adventure Band or something like that, and it looks like a Fitbit that goes around your wrist, but it's actually a wireless key, just for the car. So, like, if you go out for somewhere to go hiking, you don't have to take your phone with you. You don't have to take your car keys with you. You can just wear this band.
So similar concept, just different format.
Yeah, right.
Huh. I just think this is the way it's going to go. Everything is going to be converged into your phone, whatever you have in your pocket. Who wants to carry around a key? No one. It's just one more thing that you have to carry around. And if you could just have it work with your phone in your pocket, I would love that. That would be so convenient. I think it would be worth the risk. And again, I don't think it would be any more risky than just carrying around your keys.
Yeah, probably right.
Your keys are easy to steal, right? I mean, how often does someone steal your keys and steal your car?
Well,
I've
my
never
kids
heard
and
that
my wife
happening.
all the time.
Oh, well, yeah. So this would actually make it harder because you would notice if your phone was gone,
Right.
but you may not notice if your keys are gone.
Yes.
But your phone, you look at it, I mean, according to Screen Time, I look at it every 5 minutes. So
Right.
I pick it up like 500 times a day. So if it's gone, I'm definitely going to notice. And then I'll have to use Find My iPhone.
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to come to my car anytime soon. This is, you're going to have to buy one of Apple's new Project Titan cars, right, to get this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to be you're not going to get this on some old
Beta,
Saturn
yeah.
or something.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Before we move on, let me give a quick thanks to Netgear for supporting this episode. Is your Wi-Fi feeling old? Does it buffer while you're streaming? Does connecting new devices slow it down? Can it handle gaming, video calls, large file transfers? And what happens when you try to do it all at once? It doesn't matter how fast your internet connection is. If your Wi-Fi router is old and crusty and outdated, with Orbi Wi-Fi 6 from Netgear, your Wi-Fi will feel sparkly and new again. Wi-Fi 6 is the latest tech that allows more devices to connect and stream simultaneously without impacting speed or reliability. The result delivers the fastest Wi-Fi for all your devices anywhere in your home, streaming HD, 4K, even the mythical 8K. Without buffering, eliminate lag while gaming, and connect more devices to your Wi-Fi than ever before. You're going to be the king of Wi-Fi. Everything's going to be connected, super fast connection speeds, and everyone's going to be looking to you and admiring your tech prowess. Orbi Wi-Fi 6 is like upgrading your Wi-Fi to first class. And if you're ready for the best Wi-Fi ever, you can get it today from Netgear and never worry about Wi-Fi again. Check out Orbi Wi-Fi 6 at your local Best Buy or at netgear.com/best Wi-Fi. Check out the Orbi. It's one of the best mesh routing systems on the market today. We've talked about it a ton on the show. They really are fantastic. You'll have super fast coverage and full bars everywhere in your home and on your property. They're really impressive. Check them out. Netgear.com/best Wi-Fi. Okay, so let's talk about Apple Maps next, because I had a wondrous moment in my car when I was using Apple Maps this last week. And then I saw this story and I was like, no wonder I didn't notice these features before. They weren't here before. So Apple, they've also debuted their redesigned maps with major improvements in the U.S. And did you guys notice any improvements to your Apple Maps recently?
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
You did? Okay. So you noticed it too. So we'll talk about it in just a sec. Apple today made its major maps redesign with big improvements available to all users in the U.S. Man, they look so good now, and they have some really cool features. It comes with better road coverage and pedestrian data, more precise addresses, and more detailed land coverage. And it also offers Look Around, which is basically Apple's version of Google Maps. The overhaul promises faster, more accurate navigation, a more comprehensive view of roads, buildings, parks, malls, and more. Great, because I got to find the mall. You guys know I like going to the mall. There's significantly more detail now, which is kind of the dead giveaway. You'll notice as soon as you have the improved maps, because the detailed maps, or the detail in the maps, is so much better. It's easier to locate addresses and places of interest. You can also add your favorite places for one-tap, turn-by-turn directions when you need them. What's more, you can also build lists of your favorite places, like restaurants, bars, theaters, bars in Lander's case, and share them.
Plus,
share them with. You can have a whole list of just bars and go from one place to the next. Yeah, you can share them with other users via the new collections feature. And they also introduced Look Around, which I mentioned earlier, which is Apple Street View, but it's only in 6 locations: New York City, San Francisco Bay Area, aka Pooh City, USA, Los Angeles and Las Vegas, Houston and Oahu. What?
I know, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, you did Oahu next. There's so many other places that you could like larger metropolitan areas they could have gone. And for all of our friends in Europe, well, you guys always get the big old shaft. It says, Apple says the improvements will eventually make their way to the rest of the world, starting with Europe later this year. So at least it's coming later this year. But imagine the unbelievable magnitude of work that has to go into Apple building out all of their own maps. I mean, didn't the report say a while back that they had 1,000 people working on this? Does that sound about right, Leander? 1,000 people?
I'd say 1,000 doesn't sound like a lot. But
I have a friend on the Bing team over at Microsoft, and I think he said they have like 100 people working on it. If that,
really,
it might be less. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Isn't Bing aggregating results from another search engine anyway? I'm sorry, I'm thinking DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo might be doing their own search results. Internet Start Page, which is another good one if you're interested in privacy. I think they do it from Google.
DuckDuckGo aggregates results from Bing, but they, strip out all your details, so that it's
okay. Well, that explains
privacy front end.
The search results. I really want to like DuckDuckGo, but man, it just every time I use it, it just illustrates how good Google really is. Mm-hmm. Google really is great. I think Internet Start Page, which is privacy focused, which I think is even better than DuckDuckGo in that regard. I believe they use Google results, but it's a little harder to use that one because you can't set it as your default search engine. But anyway, I digress. So the other big feature that I noticed, this one is mega useful in Maps. Now they show you traffic lights and they show you stop signs. Yeah. Did you guys notice this?
Yeah. It works great. It's really good. It's really good at giving directions now as well, Siri directions.
Really?
Yeah, because it says things like, instead of saying turn left at, Ellsworth Street, it says, go through this stop sign and take the first right at the next light.
Yeah, that is a really nice upgrade.
Yeah, so it's super, super clear about what you have to do. Where to take turns and things.
And it sounds like more natural language.
Yeah. Right. And it's, the way, it's the kind of thing you look out for. It's really easy to understand. Because it used to say turn at in 500 feet, turn at such and such a street. And you'd be like, what street? Where is it? And then you'd have to be looking for the street signs and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it was much harder to navigate. This is much, much easier, much, much clearer.
Hopefully it's much more accurate, too. I can't tell you the number of times Apple Maps has almost gotten me killed. Because you'll be driving somewhere and then you're looking at the map, and as you get closer, you realize that you actually should be in like the middle lane instead of the right lane. And then you're like, you have to swerve across 2 lanes of traffic and everyone's honking.
It's not recommended.
It gave me some line directions, I'm sorry, what do you call it? Like you said, be in the left lane. And that was actually good advice because it said, I was in an unfamiliar part of town and it said, stay in the middle lane. And I was like, wait a second, do I really want to do that because we're going to be going right or something like that? But it turned out that it was the best lane advice we had because I think we turned a corner and then we had to do an immediate right, so it actually had us in the right position in the road. That was another thing I was impressed with. So
my favorite Apple Maps story, when they first launched it, we were in Vegas and we were going to pick up the very hairless Alex E. Heath from the hotel. We'd actually never met him before. And that was before we met him for the first time and realized that he was just a mere child. So we're on our way there, me and Buster. We're driving in Buster's car, and we're coming off the freeway, and Apple Maps has us do this churn because we're going to his hotel, and then it has us do another churn. And I'm like, this is weird. I feel like it's taking us back onto the freeway, but you relinquish your own self or your own sense of your own free will to these GPS things. When it tells you what to do, you're like, well, it's the GPS. It must know. And so sure enough, we start heading back onto the freeway, and it takes us up onto this giant overpass. It's probably like 300 feet high. And right when we get to the top, we're starting to curve around to the left. It's like, you've reached your destination on your right. And we look down and like 500 feet down this huge embankment is Alex's hotel. And it tells us this as we're cornering to go back towards Las Vegas.
Did you stop and rappel down?
That's exactly what I did.
Good
yeah.
move.
Buster just got sendy. He just opened the door, rolled out of the car, and then got up and just jumped off. Hit the ground, rolled. He got up. His beer was all filled with sticks and leaves and stuff.
Sounds about right. That sounds just like the kind of thing Buster
and he
would
was
do.
completely fine, like not injured in any way.
Girl Sandy.
I'm glad that you guys actually know what that means, and I didn't get hit with a. Okay, let's see here. Oh, well, we got one story left. Man, we're making great time. Look at this. So we got one story left on this little bit of a curveball here, but I thought this was an interesting story. Hopefully you guys agree. So I ran into a story today, actually, about Microsoft is making some huge changes. Yes, this is a Microsoft story, but you might actually find this interesting. They're making a bunch of organizational changes, and one of the things that they're going to be doing is they are blending together their Windows team and their devices team. And it's all going to be going to a guy named Panos Panay. And that's the way you have to say his name whenever you say it. So you guys might recognize that name. He is a very sharply dressed guy. He might be their main devices keynote speaker now. He was the guy who did the recent Microsoft event where he released those, or he talked about those cool new Microsoft folding phone and folding tablet products. It was like the Microsoft Duo and the Microsoft.
The highly successful Microsoft Duo?
It hasn't been launched yet at all.
Well, it hasn't been launched, yeah. But
It's been a patent
Louis-
forever, hasn't it? When they talking about this thing about 10 years ago?
They've been working on Surface technology and like all these iterations of things that sound like they have been talking about for years. So it's kind of hard to tell.
The
but,
Neo. That's the other
Louis,
one. The Neo.
The Neo. You were saying, well, you were making the comparison that you really like Panos Panay.
Yeah, the sacrilegious.
And you were saying he's got some real style, and tell them what you told me.
Yeah, well, okay. I said when I saw this guy, and I'll admit it, I was blown away by this guy's presentation. I thought to myself, my God, he reminds me of Steve Jobs. He had this awesome stage presence, and he was very reserved and very matter of fact, and he did an excellent job of saying, here's what this is and here's why it's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I felt kind of stupid because I guess I'd never really watched a Windows device keynote before. And so I didn't know who this guy was. And I was just like, what in the world? And of course, then I go and I'm looking, I do a search. And I'm like, who is this guy, Panos? And one of the things I turn up is like, Panos Panay is Microsoft Steve Jobs. I'm like, okay, so all right, I'm not the first person who had this, feeling about this guy. I don't know. I really thought that his way of presenting those products was wonderful, and it really reminded me of back in the day when Steve Jobs would just show you something and be like, wow, I really want to use that. I really want to try that product.
I liked him too. I thought he did a great job. He got a little whispery sometimes for my taste. He went into that Tim Cook whisper where he was trying to feign passion, right? But I think he did a really good job. And the thing I like about Panos Panay is his sense of style. He's got a great sense of style, and that's something I was mentioning before.
Snappy dresser?
I feel like it's...
He's a snappy dresser?
He's a snappy dresser, and I think that's important. It alludes to his overall sense of style, and I think that is something that Microsoft really sorely needs.
Right. Well, that was
badly.
Steve Jobs' famous criticism, wasn't it, of Microsoft back in the 80s? He said, this is a company with no taste. And I mean that in a deep way.
So mean.
Microsoft does a lot of things well, but that is a huge problem for them. And so it's good to see this guy be elevated. Now, unfortunately, he is not going to be placed on the leadership team, I don't think, according to the story, which is unfortunate because I think that if Microsoft would prioritize design as much as Apple does, they really have some beautiful looking products, like the Surface products, the Surface Book, the Surface Studio, which is that cool looking desktop PC that you can like raise and lower the screen. It has like those stainless steel hinges. They're creating some of the best looking hardware that's out there, but their major problem is software integration. Their software team is not able to create software that works as beautifully as their hardware makes it look like it's going to work. Does that make sense?
It's always been a
so there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, but it's always been a problem, hasn't it, for Microsoft, because they don't want to compete. They don't want to make their stuff, their hardware work better with their software than all the OEMs, right? Because then they're competing with all their customers. This has always been their problem, hasn't it?
Yeah, that is a problem. But I don't see why they can't just be another one of the device manufacturers out there and then also sell or also OEM Windows. Everyone's buying Windows because what else are you going to put on your Dell computer, right? You're going to run Linux, or what other operating system you're going to put? You have to put Windows on there. So why can't Microsoft just be... They can address the premium sector of the market, right? And have really tight integration with Windows and their devices, which is why I thought this news was so interesting and also kind of exciting, is they really are taking a note from what Apple does, and they are basically copying that strategy where they are going to be building devices with Windows and the device people working together and building that device holistically, and not saying, okay, we built the device, give it over to the Windows guy and let them crap out some code to make this thing work, because it just doesn't work. And I have friends with all these really beautiful Surface laptops, and they have odd problems with these machines because the software isn't integrated as well as it should be. And I think Panos Panay, I think he's got that something, Lewis. I agree with you. He's got that special something. And his jeans are extremely tight, which I like, because we have that in common.
I gotta say, I didn't notice.
You didn't notice his... Come on. You didn't notice his jeans?
No. My eyes aren't that
I
good
thought he was
for one
wearing
thing.
his wife's jeans. It looked like he was wearing his wife's jeans up there, which that is not an insult. He looked real good.
I'm not going to go back and rewatch it to find out.
The only guy that I've seen with jeans tighter than his was Buster's. If you've never seen Buster in real life, he's got the tightest jeans I've ever seen, and they look real good. Real good. Tight jeans with a big beard, that's a look that not very many men are brave enough to pull off, and he does it. He does it real well. That's all I have to say about that. Should we wrap it up there?
What a way to go out.
I'm ending with me just sitting here daydreaming. Buster. Buster. So anyway, exciting news for the entire tech industry and something to watch out for. You know what? If you follow me on Instagram, you saw me build. I'm calling it, I'm not sure if I fully named it this yet, but I'm considering the name the Cult Commander. It's the new PC that I built, PC 2020. This thing is an absolute powerhouse. I mean, just a real animal. And I'm completing it now. I've been taking pictures and posting it on my Instagram. I'm a PC guy as well. You know, like there's a lot of things that PCs do that you just can't do in the world of Apple, and that's okay. They both got their strengths and their weaknesses, I guess. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up there because that's all I got. I've been talking, I feel like, straight at you guys for about an hour. And
I think it's more like 2 hours.
Just repeating myself. Actually, you are right. It is 2 hours. The CultCast listeners are only going to hear an hour of it. But I've been going to 2. I've been going for a full 2 hours. But what can I say? I like saying the words Panos Pane. Okay, that's all the CultCasts we have for you guys this week. If there's anyone even still here. If you want any more, you can come say hi to us on Twitter. We're all there. We would just be tickled if you'd come say hi to us. I'm at Arafon, ERFON. Leander's at Elkaney. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. Some people like to call us America's favorite Apple podcast. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. I was really gearing up to give that next time a real good diaphragm flex, but I feel like it fizzled at the last moment. Don't you think, Liz?
I've heard that.
I lost my thunder. when I saw that movie, I didn't know what that meant for the longest time. I had to ask somebody what it meant.
What were you, 4?
And then someone told me, and I said, "Oh, I should have known that. I do that on Alex E. Heath's mom all the time."
Oh, my.
Yeah, oh my is right. Have you heard from poor Alex E. Heath recently?
I haven't, no.
He moved to L.A.
Of course he did.
and now he's working for the Information, so...
Oh, they're in L.A.?
Yeah, well, he is, I think, so he can be close to Snap or...
Oh, boy. Close to Snap. That guy, the stuff that guy reports on at Snap, I'm like, why does anyone ever want to know any of this stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Right? I didn't even know Snap was still around.
They said we did, well, yeah, I don't know, okay.
Alex E. Heath living in L.A., you know he's just greasier than ever. Hair slicked back. He's probably wearing loafers with no socks. Shirt is just unbuttoned halfway down. You could probably, the slightest wind blows it open. You can see his hairless chest and his nipples exposed.
That sounds, yeah, you know.
Doesn't that sound like 100%?
It sounds like I kind of like want to be like that. Living down on the beach.
Actually, now that you mention it, that doesn't sound like a bad life, does it?
No, hell no.